3, 2, 1, boom! Broadcasting live from the center of the universe. Presenting the world's only business school without the BS. With optometrist and entrepreneur Dr. Robert Zellner and USSBA Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark. Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170.
Yes, sir. It's Z and Clay, broadcasting from the box in the 918. Business school and the topic today. Check the syllabus, it's getting you paid. I'm making the business boom, it's what we do. You can do it, let us show you. I'm a father. All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. It is the Thrivetime Show on your radio. Now, Dr. Z, there's a lot of background noise today. And full disclosure, we did not actually record this show today. This had to be recorded at our conference, my friend. So, Z, can you kind of explain the excitement or the mojo behind us there? What is going on here in the box at Rocks?
There is a lot of mojo here on the Arkansas River. I mean, it's pretty exciting stuff. We've got, 160 plus?
174.
174.
Oh, yeah.
And probably, 55 businesses represented?
Yeah, it's quite a few businesses. I would say north of 50. We have a lady from Guam. Who's here. But I have a bias on Florida. And so we have invited a guest who's a Mr. Hart here from Florida. This guy is kind of like a business polymath in that he owns multiple companies. A polymath. He owns multiple mini businesses. 7 is what I believe. And so without any further ado, Thrive Nation, meet Mr. Hart. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're doing well. Now, I want to ask you here, what questions would you have for Dr. Z?
Wait a second. I got to deep dive into one thing real quickly.
Yeah.
Where in Florida are you from?
I live 1 hour from Orlando on the East Coast in a place called Indian Harbor Beach.
Indian Harbor Beach. You feel right at home here in Oklahoma then, right?
Well, I grew up in Miami.
Oh,
But in Florida, I got caught by somebody who was an OU alumni who said, no, you did not, because I actually said Miami.
Ooh, that's true.
Busted.
So I want to ask you, you've attended this conference. You came all the way from Florida, which we appreciate you being here. And you had some great questions at the conference, and you've added a lot of value because some of the questions that you asked earlier, people came up to me and said, that is exactly what I was going to ask. So what is a question that you might have for Dr. Zellner?
The main thing, and I don't know if a lot of other people would want to know this, because you and Clay have a very unique relationship to where he, by his own admission, you're his mentor. I have had to do most things that we've done without a mentor. And as I watch TV shows like Shark Tank or The Prophets, you can see the value of having people who've had experience launch you out and give you an exponential leap. How would you go about finding a true mentor that could really help you across all levels of your life?
Well, step one, you know you need one. And that's actually the first step in the finding of one.
Probably 95% of the listeners out there, not our listeners, other listeners, they believe they have it all figured out, and the reason why they're not doing well is because of a cosmic habit force, the economy. I'm just giving you what here. It's their religion, their background, their geography, their race.
It's the market.
Their heritage.
It's the market.
It's the economy. It's Obama. It's Trump.
They went to OSU.
It went to OSU. right.
They say Miami instead of Miami. I mean, something's holding them back. So step one is knowing that you need one. And that, I think, is what Clay and I have been trying to preach for the last 3 years, is saying, hey, listen, you're going to learn by mistakes or you're going to learn by mentorship. And that's what really started us down this road of being a business coach and trying to help people with business. You know, we know there's a lot of cheerleaders out there, a lot of rah, you can do it kind of guys. But as far as practical steps and here's how you grow your business, here's good mentorship, here's good leadership for you.
From experience.
Right. So step one. Step two is you look for the sources of where to find one. We humbly submit that our Thrive umbrella is what we are applying to be mentorship for people that are starting and growing a business, you know?
Well, I want to say rude stuff real quick.
Rude?
Yeah, just rude, horrible things.
You're going to irritate everybody or just half
just
of
probably
them?
you.
Okay.
Just probably you.
Are you going to tell me you don't like bacon? Because that is rude.
I love bacon, but I really do. I want to tee this up because Bill Campbell was the business coach for Steve Jobs. I don't think a lot of people realize, but Bill Campbell was the business coach of Steve Jobs for the entirety of his second tenure at Apple. He was also the business coach for Eric Schmidt from Google and Larry and Sergey. And he's the same business coach for Jeff Bezos with Amazon. He recently passed away, but he was the guy. And the reason why you didn't hear about Bill Campbell's coaching service is because he only had 4 clients. I mean, he's working with billionaires. So Dr. Z hasn't really gone out there and tried to be a business coach. And we sat down together. One of the things, I had to work really, really hard. My wife had to work really, really hard to get a meeting with this guy because my wife worked for him. And I'm absolutely 100% convinced that's the only reason I got the meeting was because my wife was just wearing down Kylie to try to get a meeting. And the reason why I couldn't get a meeting is because he is intense about his family. So he sets those boundaries where you can't get through the castle walls if you're just anybody. You can't. And because he's spending time with his son or his daughter or his other, he's spending time with his kids, developing his sons. And so he's not mean, but he has boundaries. And so I would not have got that meeting without my wife's connection of having worked there. And that was the connection point. So we thought about how do we give people access to the system without ruining our lives? Because we would have done it. And so I pulled Z aside and I said, hey, this coaching thing has been going well for me. I want to scale it. And Z has been really intense about, well, how do you scale that and make it affordable? Because you're a value-priced guy. Your optometry clinic is designed to make eye care affordable for people that traditionally couldn't afford eye care. And so you wanted to make it accessible, like your optometry clinic that's 7 days a week. You wanted to make it affordable. And that's how we came up with this. But I would say outside of our program, Z, if someone wanted to find a mentor, you and I never met on a weekly basis until we were doing business together because it's just not practical for you.
Well, it wasn't for me, and I may not be the perfect example of someone you want to try to go after, but in your community, someone in your industry, there's probably someone that is a step or two ahead of you. And that's the kind of guy or gal that you try to woo through all the different ways we talk about on this show and trying to get some time with them. Now, the other thing I would encourage you to do with all the successes you've had, I would really encourage you to, I don't know how many you feel like you can tackle, but I would really encourage you to go out there and look for young entrepreneurs. Have yourself open to that. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 or 5, and you can vet them and you can make them jump through certain hoops before you would mentor them. But so many times in life, mentorship is really kind of like, I make the analogy, it's kind of like fathership, and every man out there, every woman out there, we're all looking for a great dad. I mean, we really are. And that's a lot of people are saying, hey, man, I'm looking for that rock star father to help me in life when I have a tough question.
But it's not an event. It's an ongoing process, and it's the weekly consistency of it.
You're right.
Which is why I think this is why Steve Jobs didn't say, hey, Bill Campbell, be my coach. It's why he paid the man, and it was an ongoing relationship because Steve Jobs knew that his personality was very mercurial, is how he described it.
Right.
He was like, his temperature would rise like mercury really quickly, and he did not want to get fired again. And so he was like, I have a problem with my anger, but it's also my superpower. I need you to help me. And so it requires you, being coachable, but also you need to have a consistency. And that's why I think when you don't have a paid relationship, it's hard because meeting with somebody weekly is tough for someone to do if they have achieved time freedom. It's hard because if they did that to even, 10 people, Z, you've lost your time freedom.
Well, right. I think 10 may be too many unless that's your job, unless you're a business coach. But my point is, I was trying to say is that in life, if all of us men and successful women, if we all look for sons and daughters, then we would all get matched up with people that we should be matched up with.
Right.
We're always looking up instead of looking down. So I would encourage you to not only seek out some people in your industry that have done well, that have maybe taken it to the next level, and then try to get them in a relationship that looks like good mentorship, but then also I'd also encourage you and challenge you to find 2, 3, 4, whatever your time allows you to, young people, or I say young in the sense that their business is young, and mentor them. Because they're out there and they're looking for you. The success you've had with 7 successful businesses.
It really does help you when you teach even one person.
Right.
Well, I grew up coaching after we got done.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
there you go.
I prefer
it's
coaching, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Now, the one question that Brian asked during the conference I thought was profound is you touched on creating time freedom and how you hear over and over that that's not possible or you got to work 80 hours a week forever. Can you maybe tee up that question? Because I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you asked a profound question at the workshop.
We've set up to where I've always believed that family has to be a component of your business life, and your business life has to be a component. You can't, people try to discategorize or break them apart, and in my belief system, they all work as one. I believe fervently that you're supposed to give to 2 generations deep, but you're also supposed to train up your family in the way to go at the same time. And a lot of times you see the gurus and they say, hey, they're all about family, but they're working 90 hours a week or they're gone 250 days on speaking tours. And I don't find those two to fit together that if you're spending 90 hours a week in your job, how are you able to be the father that you really want to be or you claim to be? Because your job is truly your first love.
Yeah,
time is everywhere
can't.
you go. And so I feel like I've been pounding on this plexiglass as an outsider looking in, saying, this is what I want, and I need to find someone who can help me get that, as opposed to listening to people.
Teach them the stuff, my friend.
Who say that this is, you can have it, but they do not do it. And you guys are honestly the first people that seem to have the genuineness of the authenticity of actually doing that.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely correct. You can't have two masters in life. And you can't do, if you're working 80, 90 hours a week on a job that you created for yourself, i.e. you're an entrepreneur, you can't give quality time to your family unless the family is in that business with you, which is a tough thing to do. I really like your heart. That is one way that you can integrate family time and your business together if they are involved in the business. Some people can do that. Some people can't. And so you have to be very purposeful in knowing that is a very important part of your life, and the family has to come.
How do you do this, though? Because I've been your friend and partner for a long time, and when your son calls you, you drop everything and you answer. I've seen it when your daughter calls you, you do it. What are you saying no to, you, Z, that allows you to say yes to your kids calling? How does that work?
Well, a couple of things. Back in the day, a lot of people ask me why I started and diversified so many different businesses within Tulsa, because I didn't want to do the opticals. I could gone and built them through the Midwest. I could have a national, I've been 26 years into it. I could have a national array of offices, but I would have had to travel to Kansas. I would have had to travel to Missouri. I would have had to travel to Iowa. I would have had to travel to Texas. I would have had to travel to do those. And so I knew that was going to take away from my kids. And I didn't want somebody else raising my kids, i.e., the teachers or the coach, or even though they're good people, I wanted to have that direct influence. And so I made that decision to open up different businesses within Tulsa so I didn't have to travel.
So you
as
mean
much.
You decided not to open up a chain and said no to that in the travel to say yes to your family?
Correct. And being
What?
here I know it's crazy. I know. But being here in Tulsa, and now that I've got 3 rock star kids, and they're all married and doing very good. My daughter's in my practice with me, son's in optometry school, and my youngest is doing very well in the business he started. It's rewarding for that. Now I'm at a season where I'm an empty nester where I can go do that if I want. I do have the time freedoms. Now, when my kids were little, there were days that, I had to grind and I had to work and I had to do the job.
You worked 7 days a week for how many years?
A couple years.
Yeah.
And then I'd come home at night after the kids went to bed. Then I would start on marketing. I'd start on different things that I was working on, the different offices. And so I was working. I didn't watch a lot of TV. I didn't have a lot of hobbies. I wasn't a big golfer.
You weren't a wood whittler of ducks?
I tried that for a season, but mallards are tougher than you think.
You didn't hand carve boats?
You were out there playing ultimate frisbee?
Hey, yeah, well,
I want to call you out, though, because you still have that embroidered shirt. You did have a bowling league that took up 5 nights a week.
I did.
You didn't. No. These are things you said no to.
Right. I said no to those things because I knew that when I front-loaded that time into the business and built it up, then it wasn't a job. It was an actual business that served me the way I wanted it to serve
And
me.
I want to jump in because I talk about this on the podcast all the time, but it's all about delaying gratification, right?
Oh,
you could
amen.
have just kind of did 50 hours a week and then not built all those systems, but you'd probably still be doing that if you hadn't taken the time to just keep going.
Correct.
And you delayed your financial gratification. You decided to reinvest in the businesses, live below your means for many, many years to invest in advertising. And here we are. When we come back, we're going to have another Thriver who's attending our conference who will be in the box that rocks. And they're going to ask us anything from Clay to Z. I don't know what they're going to ask. It's a double-blind thing, Z. It could get weird. It could be awesome.
Get weird.
Could be terrible. Stay tuned. It's the Thrivetime Show on your radio.
Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show on Talk Radio 1170. Broadcasting live from the center of the universe. It's Business School Without the BS. Featuring optometrist turned entrepreneur, Dr. Robert Zellner, with USSBA Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. It's Business School Without the BS. And yes, my name is Clay Clark. I'm the father of 5 incredible humans. And Z continues to not treat my wife at his optometry clinic, so as long as she stays blind, I'm the husband of
and you're
one.
welcome. You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah, thank you for giving her the wrong prescription. That was so nice of
She
you.
keeps putting those contacts in. Like, these make it worse. What is this?
Hey, those checks keep clearing. she'll still be thinking she's seeing clear.
Now, and it helps for
I mean?
every man out there. If you've married a 10 and you're a 2, hire Dr. Robert Zoner to misdiagnose your beautiful bride. Now, we have a member of the Thrive Nation, a man by the name of Mr. Lane. Sir, where are you from?
Edmond, Oklahoma.
And how did you first hear about the Thrivetime Show Conference? Was it through a Ponzi scheme? Because we were really big.
Absolutely.
We illustrated the Ponzi.
Was it MLM that...
No, Tim Redmond invited me.
Oh.
I really did not know what to expect. I
Wow.
wasn't familiar with all
Well,
this.
Tim Redmond used to be my boss. He built Tax and Accounting to have 450 employees, and I was an intern for him almost 19 years ago. That's the Tim Redmond Circle of Truth.
The circle.
So what question do you have for Dr. Robert H. Zoner?
One of the things, again, I came here not knowing what to expect, and what has been kind of beat into us and reiterated was having a demarcation line between business time and family time. And that really hit home to me because I missed pretty much the first 3 years of my eldest life working all the time, trying to justify, my wife could stay home, raise the kids, and my job was provide and protect. And now that I don't want to miss out with the younger children, how do you delegate when it doesn't seem that people will do the job to your quality or with your initiative?
I have 3 points, and I'll let Dr. Z lead the way. 3 points.
You can one-up him, Z.
You want
I will. I'll try.
You want to inspect what you expect. There's no one I've seen better than Dr. Z and his managers. 2, as the business grows, you want to have great managers. I know nobody better than Dr. Z at finding great managers. His managers are phenomenal. Monty, if you're listening, so good. Kylie, so good. Other managers I don't know are so good. 3rd is you want to be a leader that people will follow, and nobody's better than Dr. Z at those things. So, Z, talk to me about the inspection part.
Well, I was going to, before I do that, I was just going to say one thing. You're absolutely correct, Lane. Nobody, just get over it right now. Nobody's going to be as passionate and love your business as much as you do. Just book that, okay?
What?
Now, what you want to do is find guys or gals that at least will do it as much as you can tolerate. In other words, are they 90%,
But I want
95%?
them to be obsessed with it like I am.
Why don't they love it like I do or work like I do? So just know that's going to be, you're going to have some drop-off. Now, the key is having the systems in place so that the drop-off is manageable and not that big a deal. Now, Clay, go ahead. You want me to break down
the inspection part, because at your optometry clinic, you're not perfect. At the Elephant in the Room, we're not perfect. But you see so many more patients over there at 65th and Memorial than the average optometrist.
Right.
I mean, it's a magnitude of whatever it is. It's massive. So how does Kylie inspect, or how do you inspect Kylie? Because it's a constant inspection. She's such a great manager. She was my wife's manager, and she's still there 18 years later. So how do you do that?
Well, I promise you this. 15 years ago, I managed her different than I do today. And the reason why that is day one, you want to touch them daily. You want to have numbers daily. You want to inspect daily. You want to do surprise inspections. You want it to be where you're really, really watching. And then as you gain confidence in that person, then you can kind of back off a little bit. Then it goes to maybe weekly inspections. I think the longest you'd ever want to go is monthly. So I have a P&L meeting with all my managers. We sit down every month at least. Now, sometimes I'll do daily numbers are still sent to me. So I'm still inspecting some things on a daily basis. But I think that what happens is you get the confidence in the people, you get the training and your DNA in them. And that's the trick. And that's by spending time with them. You get your DNA. One of the things that my staff knows is when a problem comes up, where do they ask, Clay?
What would Z do?
And when you get them to where they say, what would Lane do? Then you've actually started to get that DNA in them.
It's written on our wall in the conference room. What would Z do? And
I have it tattooed on my lower back, actually.
That's hot.
Yeah, it's kind of a trend.
That's the problem. You have a
stamp.
lower back. I knew that about you. Okay, all right. So, Chup.
I wanted to pile on that. As Lane, as you're still in the fire of the business, you haven't had a chance to create that time freedom yet. What Z is saying is exactly right, and what you got to do is actually schedule that onto your calendar. You have to make that part of your schedule, otherwise it will drift on you because, God, a minute, fires are going to start in the business. So you actually have to put that in your calendar and make sure that set those expectations that, hey, we're going to be following up at this time, set a begin time, set an end time, just make sure you're getting that done on the schedule or it will drift.
Now, Lane, is that helpful? Does that help you?
It does, yes.
Now, would you have another question for Dr. Z? Any question you could possibly ask? There's really no out of bounds. And then just try to make it as crazy as possible, please. Something nice and crazy. What do you have for him? Do you have a tough one?
Who's going to win the next Super Bowl, maybe?
Oh, yeah. well, I'm going to ask a question we've been asked today quite a bit. This
Okay.
is big.
Ask
I
away.
know on the spot when you're doing a podcast, radio show, because sometimes it can be
People
tough to do
staring
that.
at us through the
There's a lot
glass
of people
and
behind the glass here at the workshop. Z, how did you organize your day in those formative years when you were getting out of the daily grind?
Yes.
You know, how did you organize your calendar when you were getting out? Once you had all the customers you needed, you're trying to get out. What those formative years? What did those days look like?
Before it was easy.
How did you get out of the 7-day cycle?
Well, yeah, exactly. I was purposeful, and then I thought to myself, every 6 months to a year, I was going to drop a day. And then that was actually a couple of years. And so it took me about 10 years to finally have all the days dropped. And so it was a hiring process, a training process. But what you have to do is have to be very purposeful in scheduling your day. So you have your quiet time either in the evening or the morning where you are really thinking about what you're going to do. You know, it's your day to do what you want to do. If you don't, everybody else will fill it up for you. Trust me on that.
Question we've been asked all day. People have been asking me in between sessions. I almost feel like bad to ask it in a group setting, I think, is like, how does he actually say no? Like, how does Z or how do you actually say no? So if someone says, hey, do you want to go fishing?
No.
Hey, do you want to, Z, what do you say? How do you do it?
I was telling a friend of mine just the other day that it's very liberating to understand that you should be a powerful person and make your yeses say yes and your no's mean no, but also to use those. I had a young man come up to me just the other day and was like all excited, was like, oh wow, man, I want to take you to lunch. Can you go to lunch next week? I'll buy, and I just want an hour of your time. I looked at him and I said, there's no way that's going to happen. No. And he just looked at me like, it was like I didn't know whether to think that was the meanest thing I've ever heard or.
Well, now I want to be.
Nobody just says no. Everybody
I want to
says,
be real.
I'll check on it. I'll get back with you. I'll check my calendar.
Let's do that sometime.
Next week, I'm not sure. Let me think about that. Then they just ghost them, and then they're gone. They're just like, they can't get a hold of you, So if you don't want to do it, say no.
Yeah, and
if you want to do it, say yes, and then plan it.
And you can't you can't let other people make you feel bad, because if the time freedom is what you're seeking, in order to grow a company, you have to have thousands of customers, which would then require you to, if you kept saying yes at the ratio you said yes to when you're small, then you're going to be absolutely screwed. You're going to gain all the money but lose the time freedom. So you have to get really good at saying no. Z, and then when you have to fire somebody, which is a rare thing at Dr. Robert Zellner and your enterprises, very rare. You probably fire people once every 5 or 6 years, every 10 years. But when you do have to fire someone, what are the words you say?
This will save you hours of your life.
So big.
So big. And that is, you don't get into a debate. You don't sit there and tell them what they did wrong, what they did right, or why, or anything. You just say, hey, it's not working out. You're fired. Bye-bye.
But Z, I had...
it's no matter what they say, it's just not working out. And then send them on their way.
Hey, Chup, I don't want to be offensive, but whatever you were just going to say, I just want you to know it's just not working out.
What?
We got to go. It's not working out. We got to go to the break. It's not working out. Chup, you're fired.
Oh, wow.
Not on the show, but just on this, because we go to the break. You're fired from talking until
from
the
this
break.
segment. Okay.
Stay tuned. Come back, Chup.